Random video and I'm already halfway through, but oh well. This is a Mercedes Citan. Not a Mercedes Citan, it's a Citroen. But it's got a Mercedes badge and a 1.5 Renault diesel. Changing this coil spring failed the MOT. The bottom of the spring has snapped off, as you will see very closely when we get it off. We are currently at the point, so all we've done so far is we've dropped the wheel off, 5/17mm bolts. We have cracked these off, they are 21mm nut and bolt, cracked the top one off, cracked the bottom one off, and I've undone, just put parallel bits on the back so it's spinning that, and that's the drop link, and that was 16mm. And then what we are going to do is we are going to spin that bolt because there is that much corrosion in there. It don't want to come out. So we are going to try and spin it and get it to break all that corrosion free. And then still not going. A bit more. Even give it a little bit of a freedom juice. There we go. Now it's starting to come. Maybe. There we go. That's why I never put a spanner on this end first. Always use the nut and then spin it, and if it breaks free and starts spinning, you know you'll be okay. If the nut comes off really easy and this doesn't spin, then you know that that's seized inside there. Yeah, right. Now we'll whip the nut off. Copper hammer. So that's that. Now we need to get something to support the hub so that the drive shaft doesn't fall out. Now I've brought the jack over to hold the hub. Before I do that, I want to crack off and take out at least two of the bolts holding the shock up, so that when the vehicle's up in the air it's easier just to spin one bolt out and drop the whole assembly out, as opposed to needing to come down or climb up ladders and do it. So it's a 13mm, and there's a little plastic clip here and here, pull that rubber out of the way, and a trim here that you pull out, and then you can lift this side up and you can just sneak a ratchet under onto that 13mm bolt and you can undo it. And there are three under here. There's one crack loose. I'll get you a better shot under here in a second. But there's two. So, like I say, we're going to take really not long bolts. There's one. Come down this back side and get the other one. Found it, there it is. Ratchet slipped. Up tight. obviously to do the driver's side spring, you would need to take the wipers off because you wouldn't get enough flexibility on this cowl to be able to just reach underneath and do this. So you would have to pull the wiper arms, which should be 2 13s, and then the blades off. Shouldn't be difficult. Depends on how old the vehicle is. Sometimes it's easier than it is others. Two. So that's 2 of those out, and I'll just take you for a ride. So that's under there, so that's where it sits. As you can see, we've got that one at the front left there, and then I've taken the one out of the back there. You can just see the empty hole, and you can just see the other hole at the back there. So the idea is that I can now reach up from underneath, hold the shock absorber and undo that without too many problems. It's the hope of it. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. So now we'll get set up ready to take the shock out. So we're now going to bring this over. I'm going to go up a little bit more because it's too tall. This is homemade, this one. You can buy the proper versions, don't know if they're any better. It's back from a day where I had no money, couldn't afford to go buy one. Well, the proper ones for 80 quid, but I did have a piece of steel laying around, so I made one. The only thing you need to change if you make one is that's 45 degrees and it needs to be slightly less than. There we go, that's now holding the hook. And all that's to stop is basically to stop the drive shaft pulling out of the gearbox. Because with the way that this is, the drive shaft there, if the hub leans over too far, it will actually pull the drive shaft out and the box oil will fall out. Not a huge problem, but obviously you do need to then fill the gearbox oil back up. So now we can pull this top bolt. I knocked the bottom one out off camera. That's it, that's our shock now loose, like that. So now I've got to do some acrobatics. So I've got a little platform down here to stand on to do this. Just get a bit higher. Wiggle. That, until the bolt comes loose. Bolt out. Now we have to work out how to get to be honest, probably would have helped if I had undone the brake light. Stay. Forgot about that bit. I know you're all shouting it. What about the brake light? Hindsight's a wonderful thing. Still could be worse. Thank you. And that just drops out like that. Now I'll take this over to the bench and assess the damage. So, as you can see, we've definitely got a broken spring. In fact, it's actually broken in 2 places. We'll wiggle that out. Yeah. We've actually broke that end and that end, so it's broke twice. Or it's part of the same fracture, anything's possible. So, this is only loosely clamped on the vise, it's not that tight. Now we need to get this plastic cap off the top to get to our top strut nut, like so. Now we've got our nut here, so we can get the right size for that. So we have 19mm spanner and a Torx bit of the, no, it's an 18mm, coming loose, 18mm, and Torx bit of the 40 variety, and we see if it comes loose, which it does. Now, I know what I'm doing. If you don't know what you're doing, clamp this up before you get carried away. Because if you wind that off the end, we've all seen it, it will hurt. I just like to crack them off before I put clamps or anything on here. And the reason for it is because with the pressure of the spring, it holds this and stops the shaft in the centre from spinning, which can cause problems in trying to get the spring off. So now we take our spring compressors. Now, because this is broken, it shouldn't take a lot to just take the pressure off. Okay, and this one will probably go there, maybe. I do also have the larger spring compressors, the standalone ones. We can use that if we absolutely have to. Sometimes you find the springs are way too difficult to compress. And sometimes they're all right. That's all that actually needed. It's now not quite loose, but it is loose enough to say that it's not going to be a problem. So we can undo our nut. So take off our spring top. Now we have our bearing, and then one spring. You can see there the difference in size between the two springs. Now I need to get all this swapped over to the other spring. So we've got the new spring clamped. This old sleeve on here, not the greatest, but it does stop the spring making noise. Now, the problem we've got here is this clamp is not ideal on this side, but if it will go, we'll be fine, but I don't know if we've got enough shaft sticking out, or just maybe. It is so close, it is sticking out by a thread. Let's just see if we can fetch those bits, because we didn't mean to do that. And then maybe we've now got that little, yeah. Just below. The thread is just there. It's not quite enough, so let's give it a little bit more. That did us. Yep, we've got plenty of thread there now. So we can now start that nut on. If we're happy it's got enough threads, we can then just make sure that our spring is going to sit where we want it. Now we can start backing this. That. If you haven't guessed, there is a lot of kinetic energy in a spring, and I do mean a lot of kinetic energy in a spring. Wind that down. We want this to not fly off and hurt us. Once you've got the nut on, you are a lot safer. Yes, you will need an offset spanner to do that. So that's now that. Lovely. So now we need to just take the spring compressors off. Like I say, we are now safe. It's not going to ping off. Obviously it can still snap. There we go. One fitted spring. Voila! Now we need to put this back in the van. So, yes, I did put the plastic cap back on top. You can do it afterwards anyway because it's inside the vehicle. It is important to try to remember to orientate this in the correct direction, because there's nothing worse than putting it in where you think it is correct and then that top strut mount being in the completely wrong place, and now you've got to try to twist it round and work out where it goes, because this is not very heavy, but you don't have to hold it for many seconds under an arch with one arm before it gets really heavy. I do have another adapter for the end of these for actually holding springs and shocks in. But when you're using it to hold the hub up, that's not very useful. So, double checking I am orientated in the correct direction. Now, because of the way I've done it, I could put this back in and then bolt it back to here. But we will see how that works and how this works out for us. This one's going to be a bit awkward. I've got one bolt in and that was a nightmare. I had to lean the shock absorber right that way to get the front bolt in. Hoping the other two aren't as bad. Probably going to be. Now to do away with all this. And yeah, sometimes jobs like this could be easier if you were actually on the floor. But we're not, so it's fine. So now I've had to wiggle it around and I've got the bolts threaded in. So now I can do the top bolts up. Get you under the 13 and a ratchet. I was using that to wedge it up. Don't need to anymore. Now use my torch again. Just to see what I'm doing. Be careful because there is a big pit down the back here. If you drop something, you can get it back, but it's going to be, you're going to be a minute, you're going to need a magnet. Slightly awkward one in the back corner. There we go, just tight. I've all done under there, so we can pull all that out. Now this simply drops back in like that. There is no real, nothing really hooks on or anything like that. Now for some reason this had different fixings. There's a 10mm nut there and there's this plastic that doesn't appear to do much there. And then we just pop this rubber back on. Yep. Take 10mm, squeeze that one down, kick you guys. I know, it stands in the way. No one likes an apprentice. Actually, everybody loves an apprentice because you get to give them all the jobs you don't want to do. Now it's just this plastic trim in the top corner, which is this bit, which as you can see, it's got some little hooks and some little clips on it. Bring it around so you can see, but there's some little clips and little hooks, and there's one of them there. So you have to get this piece of plastic and these hooks hooked in. And then there's a clip there that it sort of goes on to, and yeah, it's a wiggle. It is a wiggle. So it goes there. So that goes under there, that goes under there. And there we go. Just like that. Once you've got it hooked in, it's fine. Now we get to go back up again and finish off in the wheel arch. So we now need to put the bottom bolt, other bottom bolt in. is this one. And as you can see, our hub's now leaning out, but that should slot straight in like that. And a nut for that one, that one. Big spanner. Like that. Of course, torque leads the spec. Click. Click. Now I need to put our drop link back on. Plug that through the hole like that. Trap the mole grips. Like that. Put our brake pipe that we forgot about last time, and line that up to that hole. Now somewhere we have a 10mm nut. Which will be just there. And put our nut back on here. Thusly. Like that. Now you just do the idiot check and go tight, 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 back on. Yep. Now we need a wheel. Before we do that though, we are just going to have a wheel off. It's always good practice to clean the mating surfaces before you put it back on. Ensure proper torque on the wheel is achieved. Don't care if you don't, it's your life. Or your insurance. Me personally, I like to do it. If this was an aluminium wheel, I would actually put grease on that. It's not. So there's not going to be. They do tell you you shouldn't lubricate threads on wheels. Put it on hub flanges because the grease can affect torque and all that. If it was aluminium on a really rusty hub, I would put a bit of light grease behind it, just to make it easier for the next guy to get off. Socket's about worn out. Now we can drop it down and torque the wheel up. And yes, I am actually going to torque the wheel up. Just to prove it. See? Not that it matters, because the astute amongst you will have noticed that the, how do I put it, the tyres are destroyed. This actually failed its MOT on 3 things. 2 front tyres and that broken spring. So it is getting 2 front tyres, so it's literally going to go from here to the tyre place. Well, it's actually the MOT place as well, so they're going to do the 2 front tyres and check the alignment and then do the retest. So it's not going to fall off in that distance unless you leave them completely undone, but still good practice to do them up even if you know it's coming back off. So a small sidebar, and if you've made it this far, I'm sure you will actually find this part interesting. So when you order a spring for these, they are awkward to get the right spring for. Now, if you go out to your spring, and on your spring you should find that, and on this one it's red, brown, orange. Now those are the 3 colours you need to order a new spring from some suppliers. Obviously if you go to Mercedes, they will probably be able to find it on their genuine system, but you will pay 3 times as much for the spring. The problem is, so this spring doesn't appear to have, because the end that should have it, that's the bit that's disappeared. So, oh no, it is there. No, stand corrected, it is there. But if that breaks off and disappears, then how do you know? And the new one doesn't come with that on it. So, I mean, I guess you could, if you happen to have kids or something, young kids, get the paint set out and paint new colours on it. But if it breaks off and disappears, then it's going to be a problem. But if you are going to order a spring for yours, do be aware. And the springs basically range from, they're around the £50 mark, depending on what spring it is and which colour arrangement you have. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please give me a thumbs up. Give us a comment down below what you thought about the video. It does help me out. You know, I am a small channel. I don't make a lot of money out of YouTube. I do this because I actually like making videos, because it's a little bit fun. So let me know what you thought. Help me out by liking the channel and the video, and we'll see you on the next video of something else to fix.